Hey guys, it's Daniel. Welcome back.
The following is my full interview with producer, engineer, and mixer Brent Kolatalo, where he discusses some of his work with Kanye, Drake, Eminem, and Lana Del Rey. In particular, he talks about Kanye's personality, the story behind some of Kanye's biggest songs, lawsuits, various legal complications, and much more. So, having worked on Kanye's debut album, The College Dropout, what did you think of that record as it was coming together?
It was kind of a different type of like hip hop, you know. It was like it was I forget what people were doing at the time, but he pretty much solidified like that sample, that sped up chipmunk sample sound, and then everyone followed that. And then after that, what he started like singing on like 808s and Heartbreak and like all the like I felt like he was definitely kind of, I don't know, innovative, and everyone was following him for years and years, pretty much. Like once he started singing on 808s and Heartbreak, we started hearing all these other rappers singing, and it's just he early on in the game, like I feel like he just paved the way, and everyone was just trying to catch up with him.
There's so much like hearsay about Kanye. I'm not really concerned about the rumors. I just want to know, like in general, what was he like to work with musically? Like how is he to bounce ideas off of? How is he in that sense?
Yeah, no, I mean he's like I said, I feel like he's a genius. I know a lot of people don't like his personality, but like uh I feel like he's like two steps ahead. He knows how to delegate. That's what's like makes him so good. It's like he knows like where he's good at, and like what like who to hire, who might be better at like than him at like doing like a horn arrangement. It's like that's just like a really specific thing.
Kanye, because he's very producer oriented, he started out as a producer. Does that affect his approach to rapping, to being a musician? Like, is he wearing two hats all the time, so to speak?
I mean, like, he's obviously wearing like two different. I think that's why he hires other people. Like a lot of times he's not he doesn't like produce. I guess on a lot of the songs. If you look at the credits, there's like names of all the. I think that's why a lot of people like give him like a lot of crap too. It's like sometimes he doesn't fully produce the song, but he's always like has a hand in everything, and like I'm pretty sure he comes up with the majority of ideas. But I know a lot of like my music colleagues like always like when we talk about Kanye like always give him shit about that. But I actually don't. I don't see anything wrong with like delegating. Knowing like if someone else can bring something better to the table than I can. I mean, music's all about collaborating. I think there's something beautiful about, someone like you having a vision and someone else sharing it with somebody else, who can actually even do it better, and like see like it's all about what's the best for the song at the end.
So does he have a
Yeah.
strong vision throughout the making, or is he open to different ideas, so to speak?
No, it's pretty like yeah. If Kanye says one thing like that is, I'm not gonna give him any other ideas. Like we never. Yeah, that's yeah.
I hear you. That's cool. So when it comes to College Dropout, the way that you approach working on that record for Kanye, did your approach for his future records change, or was it always the same approach when it came to working on Kanye's records?
It was always the same. Like there would just be like direction. He'd either give you direction or like his manager would give you direction. You didn't want to go rogue. I don't think they'd ever have the balls to go rogue and be like, hey, like present something to Kanye that's like, not what he was asking you for, and just be like, well, what about this? I'll never do that.
Kanye, he's not just a great musician, he's a great producer. If you had
Yeah.
to compare, would you say he's a better musician or a better producer?
I don't like. I mean, I feel like he's all around just fantastic. Like, I don't know. I don't know if he plays any instruments, honestly, but like just as like a rapper, like just his ideas. I mean, they just come from left field. Like I was honestly like when we first started working with him, every time every album that we'd get like new album that he'd be working on. Like I was never more excited about working on something. Like when he would send like an idea, like I was just like, what is he gonna send next? I'll never forget the first time we heard like Gold Digger. I was like, what the fuck is this shit, man? Like, because it was just so different, and like I was just blown away, man, blown away. Yeah.
That's so cool. So what did
So
you do for that song in particular? Like, did you add the instruments
uh,
for that?
So that's another one that this is actually a crazy story. That was when you know the "You Give Me Money
Yeah.
When I'm in Need" line. So that's a sample from Ray Charles.
Okay.
That was the year Ray Charles died, actually. And
Really?
Jamie Foxx was had won a did he win an Oscar that year? I think he did win an Oscar for like his role. So Jamie Foxx tried to recreate the sample on his own, and we couldn't get it to sound right. So he ended up having to clear it, like the original record. So that was originally supposed to be Jamie Foxx doing "He Gives Me Money," but that's actually now like Ray Charles. We
Really?
tried to get like Jamie to do it. He was in the studio and he did do it, but it didn't work out. I don't know what the politics were. Maybe like Kanye just wanted to clear the sample just to clear it, you know. But originally that was supposed to it was be Jamie Foxx doing the Ray Charles "You Give Me Money."
Really? So when I'm listening to the studio version of it, or the version that I saw on TV back when it was on and the video
Yeah,
was out, that's not Jamie Foxx's voice. That's Ray Charles's voice that I'm hearing.
yeah, that's Ray Charles. But yeah, I have versions with like we have versions with Jamie Foxx on
Really? So the
it.
so the
Yeah,
so the one that was on the record, it's Ray Charles.
yeah, it's Ray Charles. But
Interesting.
we were trying to get like I think he just cleared it at the end just on purpose. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's politics. But like it
Interesting.
was originally supposed like Jamie Foxx was originally supposed to be on that.
Really, that's really
Yeah,
interesting. So I mean,
yeah,
because
that's crazy.
it still says Kanye featuring Jamie Foxx, but if Jamie Foxx is lip syncing, then is he actually featured on the studio recording of it?
I don't know. I haven't listened to that song in forever,
Yeah,
man.
same.
I have to check it out. Yeah,
That's
yeah. I
interesting.
don't. He's probably on there somewhere. I'm sure.
Interesting.
I mean, he samples all these soul records, and to get them to sound identical is like it's fucking really challenging.
Yeah, no, for sure,
And so
totally.
sometimes when that happens, you just like and you recreate it, and it's just like there's just something about the swing that's not there, or just like something's off. You just don't know what it is.
Interesting. So, of all the Kanye songs you worked on, which one are you most proud of?
The one I'm most proud of that I worked on was "All the Lights," like doing the horns,
Oh,
which
you did
was
that?
yeah,
That's
and
cool.
like that was so when Kanye gave that to Ken and I, that was he did a mock up on like on a Casio keyboard, and it was like basically these one note staccato like things like this MIDI shit, and dude, it sounded horrible. And he's like, make this sound live and grandiose and epic. So we went back, actually hired like a Berkeley like horn player,
Hmm.
and that dude, there's probably like that guy playing I don't know, like maybe like 10 different like horn instruments for all the lights. And then we've got like we did MIDI layers underneath. So it's like a mix of a lot of like MIDI and the live together to kind of get it this like grandiose feel, you know.
That's really cool, man. I mean, when you were coming
Yeah.
up with that, was Kanye coming in to see how it was going, or did you finish it then send it to him afterwards?
He just gave us a mock-up and then like gave us like a week to get it done and
Okay.
then send it to him. And then I can't remember if he had notes on that one. Honestly, it's been so long. But yeah, and then just send him like stems of that, and then I'm sure he tweaked from there, you know. But I didn't see the vision, honestly, you know. Like I didn't
Okay.
get like there's some things like I didn't get like when we were doing I want to say it was during All the Lights, like something got leaked from his camp, and like there was like he was pissed about it, Kanye. When he started sending his music, it wouldn't be it'd be like a snippet of the song, you know,
Gotcha.
which sucks as like a producer, you know, instrumentalist trying to get the vibe of something because the paranoia, you know, I get it, I totally get that, but like to understand the full scope of the song, you know, you kind of need to hear the fucking full song,
Hmm.
you know. So sometimes it would be only like 4 bars, and we're just kind of like, what the fuck, you know,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
it made the job a lot more difficult. He sent us Power, and I remember hearing that song. I'm like, I don't get it, you know, like I don't like I didn't like the song. I mean, but like I get it now. I love that song, but there's just some things like he has a vision for already in his head, and like you know, like it's impressive, you know,
That's really cool. So I mean,
especially the Casio keyboard thing because I didn't see that either.
interesting.
If I really wish I still had I'm sure we've got it saved somewhere like on a drive, But I wish I could like actually play that for people to hear like the original idea
That's cool.
that he had.
So did you work on the instrumentation for Power as well?
Just did some of the claps on that. Honestly, does that intro, and like my production partner did like the like that chant. Him and like this guy
Oh,
named
okay.
Alvin. That was originally like a sample that we had to recreate.
That's really cool.
That chant, yeah,
So I mean, my favorite part of that song is the beginning was like,
yeah,
and like, was that part
dude,
already
that's so
there?
epic. Say what?
Was that part already there when you guys started working on that song?
He had sampled Alvin's song, and he wanted it like an updated version of it. So he was just like, make this sound better, and so we basically recreated what he basically originally had that chant, but he we needed to recreate it just so he didn't get sued or something. That's one of the most iconic like
Oh yeah.
songs now, like in sports, like you hear that in like arena,
Hmm.
like you must be make stupid money off that song.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's absolutely massive.
Dude,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, another song that like is on an album that you worked on, 808s, is Heartless. Did you work on that particular song?
I didn't work on my production partner did. I think he did the flute. I worked on RoboCop.
Okay.
That was basically from that the whole orchestral
Hmm.
section. That was originally from a movie called Great Expectations that
Oh,
he
okay.
needed. Yeah, so that was a sample, and they wouldn't clear it, so we had to recreate it, like do like a sound alike, which was not easy.
I hear you.
I wish like the one song I'd like really wish I worked on was Runaway. That's like my all-time favorite. Simple, like weird piano, haunting piano
Yeah, yeah,
lines. Like
for
I
sure.
heard that, I was like, what the fuck?
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, going back to the
Yeah.
first record, did you work on All's Fall Down or no?
Yeah, yeah. What great story about that is actually that was originally supposed to have Lauren Hill.
Oh, cool.
Lauren Hill was Selena Johnson ended up singing
Yeah.
it, but the hook. But Lauren Hill was supposed to do it, and then she turned the gig down like last minute, and then like Selena Johnson was like Plan B, I think.
I hear you.
So,
Do you
but
know
she
why?
killed it though.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
like Lauren Hill was going through like I don't know, like her was having like a breakdown or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
I know she's going through something, but she was originally supposed to be the one singing that hook.
So what did you do on
Yeah.
that particular track? Do you remember what you worked on for that one?
I think it was like acoustics. I want to say. I think it recorded. I honestly, it was definitely something with acoustics.
You played the guitar on that one, not programming it for the acoustics.
Yeah, that was played. Yeah, that was played. What was like, one of the songs that like you like can't like you worked on that
Like
like you
special
have
to you, yeah.
nightmares about.
Yeah.
And it was a song called Graduation that was no, not was it Graduation? Wait, hold on. I got it up here. No, it
Yeah.
was on the album Graduation called Good Life. It was like it's a Michael Jackson sample. It was like the PYT sample.
Okay.
And literally like it sampled that and like some of the music and probably spent like 2 weeks on it, man. Like just like nonstop listening to like 8 bars of music nonstop trying to recreate it.
Really?
So yeah, they didn't get sued for it. And then but at the end of the day, like they end up clearing it. So none of the work, like they clear, I think he ended up clearing every sample on that. So a lot of the work I do for Kanye is like recreating samples, maybe flipping it so, they don't get sued.
Interesting. So when it comes to the Watch the Throne record Kanye did with Jay-Z, are there any interesting stories you remember from your time working on that project?
I was trying to think. I do have a good story. There was a crazy deadline, and we barely made the deadline for Watch the Throne, and like the last day they ended up throwing like this after party like to celebrate the album release, and like dude, it was like the most surreal after party. They rented out this basement, like this cool like speakeasy basement, and it's like maybe only like 50 people in there, and it's like all these fucking models and like Jay-Z's there. I remember Jay-Z's wearing like this Back to the Future shirt. Jay-Z, Kanye, I think like Busta Rhymes? No, Jermaine Dupri was like DJing, and then like I'll never forget like being in a circle talking to like Kanye and Jay-Z, and then behind me was like Diddy on the couch, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like in my mind, I was like, is this really happening right now? Like, it was just like one of those surreal moments where you just kind of take it in and just like, this is amazing. It's crazy.
Really
But
cool.
yeah, it's great. It feels good to be. I don't know. I love being around creative people, man. It's like it's very inspiring, especially like someone like on that level, you know.
No, for
So
sure. So I mean, did you ever
yeah.
talk to any of those other guys at that party?
Oh yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. It was yeah, it was cool, man. It was a very humbling experience, you know. I was fucking like pinching myself, man. Like I was like, I mean, I've been to the Grammys and shit, and like I've like just to be so close to all of them, like that was like that it was like one of those moments. It's like, okay, take this in, you know.
Yeah,
It might not ever happen ever again, you know. You just never know. You
that's
never
so cool.
know.
In a situation like
Yeah.
that, are you enjoying the moment, or are you thinking, okay, there's all these big guys, let me try to make a connection somehow?
Oh no, enjoying the moment, man. Like you know, you want to take a picture, but you can't. You know, like I would never be that guy. Like be like, hey, take a picture with me. You know, because like you want to look like your colleagues. You know, which you are. You know, you can't be fanboying out. You know, that's like it's not a good look. You can't
No, for sure,
don't
man.
be looking thirsty. You know, it's not.
So for that record, did you work on In Paris by any chance?
I don't think so. I honestly don't remember the songs I worked
Yeah,
on it to
it's
be.
all good. It's all good.
Sorry.
How about Otis?
It's
Do you remember work if that was one of the ones you worked on?
No, I wish it was though, because I heard that. I was like, I remember like when we were at the album release party, I heard that. I was like, what the hell? Dude, that's like one of my favorite songs as well.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
So
that
what
song.
so what exactly did you do for that record? You said you did a lot of samples, so just general, you're not even sure which songs they appeared on?
Yeah, probably just recreate like some samples on that one and flip them in some way.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So I guess on that topic, I mean, when you're doing like when you're going about working on the instrumentation for Drake and Kanye, do you come up with the parts yourself, generally speaking, or does their team give you direction as to what to do?
Yeah, the team usually gives always the direction. Sometimes it'll just be like a quick mock-up. Kanye used to be like in the beginning was like super hands-on and you get direction from him. And then like as later, like I don't know, as things got like he expanded his team, like he would I don't know, you would just talk to other people and but the other thing is like a lot of the time, like sometimes you just don't hear any feedback either.
Hmm.
So like you're just like, I hope when the album comes out, like it makes the album release, you know. So I would like a lot of the times I would not even tell people like I was working on Kanye because like you just don't know until the last day.
Hmm.
And like things get like changed politically, you know, just like maybe they can't clear something or like maybe a producer didn't sign an agreement or something. But yeah, but that's the one thing that Kanye's really good at, and I would say is like knowing who to hire for like the proper song and like what they're good at, and like knowing what he's good at, and like being able to delegate. And that's what like a really good music producer is all about. And obviously, he's like one of the best.
Yeah, for sure. So, one thing I'm
Yeah.
curious about is like when you're making this instrumentation, when you're actually writing parts for their songs, when you get a song, does it already have a beat and lyrics, or are you in charge of creating the beat? What are you trying to create exactly?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what they're hiring you to do. Kanye and like Drake is like super specific work, usually work for hire stuff. It's like adding instrumentation. Other things is like you're part of the process. You're the producer. I feel like a lot of like urban records. There's just a lot of people that are on one song.
Hmm.
And like
Yeah, I've
it's
noticed
kind
that
of
too.
like
Yep.
yeah, it's you'll look at credits and like it'll just be a list of like different producers.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it just all depends on the project and like I mean sometimes there's publishing to be had, but sometimes not. It just all depends on like if you recreate a sample and flip it in a way that's unique. I mean that's a original piece of music. So you can sometimes get publishing from that. But if you're just like, I don't know, because a lot of like the early stuff, like Kanye would sample stuff, we would not flip it, and it would just be just use as is. So
Hmm.
like there wouldn't be publishing to be had, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
When it comes to the instrumentation, is there a long review process? Like when you make the instrumentation and then you submit it to whoever, do they
Yeah.
check it, give it back to you, say, fix this, give it back? Like, is there a lot of back and take?
I mean, sometimes, man, but like a lot of it, like, it's just radio silence too.
Really?
Like, yeah, and like, yeah, it just all depends. It really all depends. Even if like they say it's gonna be on the album, and like the label tells you it's gonna be on the album, like it's never on the album until the day of the release.
That's funny.
You know, and sometimes your work does get on there, and they just forget to put like your name, your credit,
Oh
and
man.
that's even more defeating because like you're just kind of
Yeah.
like, fuck, man, like what do I gotta do?
Yeah. But I
You
mean,
know?
how does that happen? Like when it's such a
Well, I mean,
big
sometimes
production?
people like the label like administrator, like something gets lost in the chain,
Gotcha.
where someone forgets, or maybe, I mean, maybe someone doesn't want it on there. I don't know. It can be a little mysterious,
Yeah, there's some
honestly.
dirty politics for sure. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and sometimes you can get like them to, like, when they do like a re-release, you can get them. Well, now you can get them to like with Spotify, because obviously no one has CDs and shit anymore. You can get them to go in there and like change like the credits on Spotify later on, you know.
That's interesting.
But it's weird, man. It was always a mysterious, like, just like who's in charge of my career here, you
Yeah,
know?
that makes sense. Well, actually, that reminds me. My sister, she's a musician. She composes and she sings. And I remember this was years ago. This maybe like 15 years ago, like a long time. Anyway, she got, this was like her first official thing. She got on a compilation CD, and like everyone had to have their emails at the back of the CD to kind of like get reached out. And the person who put it together like deliberately misspelled her email like horrifically badly, right? Like just so she would get attention. So I mean, yeah, it's really stupid when that kind of stuff happens, but it's part of the business, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, but dude, my last name gets spelled like misspelled all the time too, man. It's like drives me nuts. But
Yeah.
I get it; it's a mouthful.
Hmm. So, in general, how did your relationship with Kanye begin?
Yeah, so Kanye was, yeah, my production partner was working with him, and then he got in that accident, that car accident,
Yeah.
and we knew like he was working on College Dropout, because like Def Jam had just signed him, and my Ken Lewis, who I was working with at the time, lost contact with him when he got in that accident, and we were actually going into the city for like an open mic jam, like a showcase one of our artists, and he happened to be there showcasing one of his, and they reconnected. And the artist he was showcasing was actually John Legend at the time,
That's
who
cool.
looked completely different. They had a different sound a bit, and I'll never forget like seeing Kanye up at the bar by himself, and like talking to him with Ken. I didn't know him at the time, but Ken obviously knew him, and basically asking him, "Hey, can we like get on the album? We know you're working on it." They reconnected, and honestly, if it wasn't for that chance meeting, I probably would have. We never might not have worked on all these albums like after that, because and then he sent us the first couple songs for College Dropout, like the following week, and then more came.
So I'm curious about your work on College Dropout and 808 because you worked on those two records from what I understand, but not the ones in between. Is this correct?
Yeah, so the ones in between, I did work on them. So basically, I like was doing sample recreations for him with Ken Lewis, and he ended up clearing all that stuff. So the work that we did didn't make the album. So like basically, I don't know if you know what sample recreations are. It's like
Yeah, you basically
uh
recreate the sound, but it's not exactly the same thing, so you don't get sued, right?
yeah, and sometimes it can be. It just all depends if they get like the master or the publishing cleared. It's like it can get like sticky and complicated,
Yeah.
and some of the hardest like work to do in music, because it's like it's basically you're doing like a sound alike project,
Hmm.
and like some of that stuff was like you have to go back and like look at like do research and see like what like for Michael Jackson, what microphone he recorded on, and
Hmm.
how did they pitch his vocal up, and it's all these things, and you have to go back and like redo that
Yeah.
somehow.
So, overall, what does your experience working with Kanye mean for you?
I feel like indebted to him, man. Like I owe him. Like he basically helped launch my career, and like got me amazing credits, and I feel blessed and lucky to be like a part of a movement. I mean, I worked my ass off to get there, but sometimes you're in the right place at the right time. But like what you do gets you to the right place in the right time as well.
Hmm.
Like the hard work and stuff.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally,
Yeah.
totally makes sense. Having worked with Kanye and Drake, and I know you did a little bit of work with Eminem and others as well. Like,
Yeah.
what is it like for you personally when you work on these huge records and you see them take off? Like, I mean, I'm sure it must be a gratifying feeling. Like, what is that like for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, it's fucking amazing. It's great. But like sometimes like you've worked on it so much that like I won't be able to listen to it for a while. Like
Hmm.
so when it comes out, like I get triggered a bit because like I probably spent like a month on like maybe like 4 or 8 bars,
Hmm.
and like just like stressing out, endless nights of not sleeping, like fucking no sleep. So sometimes it takes like I'll come back to it and like appreciate it, but a lot of times I'm burnt out
I
when
hear
it
you.
eventually comes out, and like I just don't want to hear a fucking thing.
Hey, fair enough, man. Fair enough.
Not gonna lie, man. Yeah,
That's
but I
totally.
mean, other times, yeah, it just all depends, man. But yeah, I don't know. It's a mixed bag.
Hey, that's cool. That's cool. I understand. So, I mean, when you're working on these huge records, right? Like whether it's for Kanye or Eminem or Drake or whatever, do you have to, because there's so many people that are working on it, do you have to be in communication with the different engineers and the producers, or like how do you go
Yeah,
about that?
it's more engineers and producers. Like they all have like specific guys, like it'll like be talking to like Mike Dean or at that time, I forget who Kanye's main engineer was. I can't remember his name. He's a big A&R now too,
Okay.
actually, for a label. It'll come to me. But yeah, it's usually mainly like the head producer or the head engineer, and they usually always have, I don't know, the tight knit community. But I know Kanye's now like work. Like I know Mike Dean's like still like is working with Kanye a bunch.
Hmm.
He's always working with Kanye, but like since I think Life with Pablo, like his like Kanye's team has changed up a lot.
Hmm.
But the people like from back in the day, like when I was working on like all of it, like his first like albums, like the first 5 albums, like the majority of those people aren't working on any of the new stuff.
I hear you. Is that why, if I may
Yeah,
ask, is that why you're not with the new team anymore, or is it like
yeah, maybe, yeah, yeah. Like a lot of that stuff is like it's just different. Like, yeah, you just use people. Like there's a time period, where it's like you just, no hard feelings or anything. Maybe it'll come back. Who knows? I don't know.
that's cool,
You
man.
know,
So I mean,
yeah.
of all the songs you've worked on for Kanye, is there any one that is your favorite? You mentioned All the Lights earlier. Would that be the one that is your like top record?
Yeah, that's by far like the favorite I've worked on. Yeah, because I mean, I feel like that song will be around for a bit, and it's
Yeah,
it's it's different. It's so different too, and it's iconic.
no, for sure.
Uh,
Did you work with Rihanna at all?
no, man, dude, there were so many different versions of that song. You would have no idea, man. Like,
Really,
yeah, I forget the first version we had, but there's a lot of different artists who were actually on that originally.
really.
But dude, there was, dude, so many different versions. I didn't even think it was gonna ever come out because
Oh,
they kept doing all these different versions,
huh.
and it was just like I was getting lost in the sauce as well, man. I was like, you lose perspective
Yeah, yeah.
on things. It's like I don't know if this is any good anymore.
Really, eh?
But yeah, there was, I forget how many versions I heard, different versions, but for that song. But I mean, at the end of it, it came out great.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
what was like, one of the songs that like you like can't like you worked on that
Like
like you
special
have
to you, yeah,
nightmares about?
yeah.
And it was a song called Graduation that was no, not, was it Graduation? Wait, hold on. I got it up here. No, it was on the album Graduation called Good Life. It was like it's a Michael Jackson sample. It was like the PYT sample.
Okay.
And literally, like, it sampled that and like some of the music, and probably spent like 2 weeks on it, man. Like, just like nonstop listening to like 8 bars of music nonstop, trying to recreate it.
Really.
So yeah, they didn't get sued for it. And then, but at the end of the day, like they end up clearing it. So none of the work, like they clear. I think he ended up clearing every sample on that. So a lot of the
Hmm.
work I do for Kanye is like recreating samples, maybe flipping it so they don't get sued. But just like, a lot of times, like, especially with that stuff, is like you do the work because you want to be on the album.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm getting paid. It's like I'm doing this like because I love music, and like the credit means more to me than like honestly a big paycheck,
No, that's
and
cool, man.
especially like then. But yeah, that's why Graduation, like I think he cleared every sample on that.
you did some work on Eminem's most recent record, right? The Music to Get Murdered By?
Yeah, the Alfred's
Yeah,
theme.
yeah. What was
Yeah.
that like? To work on
I
work on
mean, that
Eminem.
was another like sample thing,
Okay.
like sample recreation. He sampled a whole song. I forget what that original song was, but basically from beginning to end. It's called "Don't Front" by Eminem. Let me see who it was originally by, but literally sampled the whole song, like
Really?
verse,
Now,
chorus,
now I'm looking it
and we
up.
had to recreate the whole thing, like, like,
Really?
like the DJ cuts, like the drums. I think that took us like took me about like over a month to do. I'm a producer on that song, like,
Oh, cool.
but they like basically had to recreate everything and like do like from that original song, literally the full song. Had to recreate because they couldn't get it cleared.
And what was it
It was
about that
by
song that like I mean like if it's the full song, then how is it a new song if he's just sampling?
I know. I like it's kind of like the it's not really a new song. I mean it is, but it isn't.
So I mean, did you work? So you worked on Alfred's theme specific? Is that what you were saying? Like specifically
Yeah,
that one thing?
yeah, yeah,
That's cool. And what was it like
yeah.
working on that one song?
It was good, man. That was like just during that the height of the pandemic, so didn't talk to Kanye or anything. Like everything was just, I mean, not Kanye, sorry,
Eminem.
Eminem.
That's cool.
Everything was just remote, and it was just like orchestral kind of stuff. For Eminem, I can't remember exactly, but I know it was either my manager or my production partner who knew Eminem's manager, and like
That's cool.
just kind of like bridged the gap. That's how a lot of that stuff happens, man. It's like somebody knows somebody, and like once you get connected to a camp and like they hire you for the first thing and you do well, like hopefully, they hire you again and like somehow you can get into that camp.
Yeah, that's cool.
And a lot of these people, like a lot of these like urban artists, like they're all camped up and it's hard to get in.
Mhm.
So you take your chances where you can. That's what happens. And usually like they hire you and then they send you this thing called like a PO. And that's just basically like a purchase order.
Gotcha.
And you fill that out, send it to the label person, and then it takes them probably like half a year to pay you back.
So, switching over to Drake for a moment, one of the Drake tracks you worked on was Lord Knows from the Take Care album with producer Just Blaze. What was that experience like for you?
That was amazing, man. I love that song, and like that's one thing about Just Blaze like is a bit different than Kanye. Like he's way more hands on, and like he is like a perfectionist, hardcore, and like his drum game, like he does like next level stuff, and the way he chops. That's the other thing. Like yeah, producers, everyone has like is good at different things. But yeah, so going back to Lord Knows, did the choirs on that. I think we recorded that in New York City. We just have a group of people that usually just do all the choir stuff for like Drake.
And so did you come up
Yeah,
with the rhythm for the choir part? Or like what did you do exactly specifically?
that was mainly. I think they gave us ideas, like just oohs and ahs, and like just make it sound like soulful gospel choir. A lot of that was Ken, my production partner, coming up with like ideas, and he would give them like a bunch of different phrases and see which ones they liked, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Just a lot of different options.
So, switching gears again for a moment, you worked on Lana Del Rey's debut record, Born to Die. What was that experience like for you?
I love that record, man. Like that, honestly, that's like one of my favorite records. I that and College Dropout, honestly.
Yeah. So which songs did you work on that record?
Blue Jean was it Blue Jeans? Yeah, Blue Jeans, Diet Mountain Dew, and Born to Die.
Oh, you worked on the title track Born to Die. That's cool.
Yeah,
So it
just the
says
drums on that. That was drums.
was that program drums or did you actually play the
Yeah,
drums?
it's program drums. But a lot of the drums that I do is they sound live, but they're programmed because I've I've sampled a lot of like live drummers. I've recorded them, and that's one of the tricks to doing like a lot of those like breakbeat, like getting things to sound natural is you do program drums and then like put in like maybe like a loop of like a hi-hat loop of like a live drummer, you know,
Mm.
to get that live feel, or like do like some kind of like live fill just to give it that bounce, the swing, and on top of like, you know, the weight of programmed drums, you know.
Mm.
So like uh that's what a lot of the Lana stuff is as
That's cool.
well.
So you also mentioned you worked on
Yeah.
Blue Jeans. What did you do for Blue Jeans?
I want to say it was guitar. It was either guitar or drums. Usually, a lot of that stuff was drums. It was like that breakbeat kind of drum sound. I remember, like, I've got a folder. Got a folder right here.
That's cool,
I can
man.
tell you right now. Yeah, it was breakbeat drums. Like, that's the other thing. It's like keep all this shit like on a hard drive, just in case too, because like sometimes like somebody will hunt me down because they know I do sample recreations, and maybe like Kanye's been sued like
Mm.
several times for things he's used, and like I'll get a call from a lawyer, and they'll be like, hey, they want me, like, us to prove like if we actually did recreate it,
Mm.
and like I haven't had to go to court yet, but I've shown them, like, you know, sessions where like I've proven it, and it's like it's very and you don't want to get Kanye or any of the artists you know you're working for in trouble either. So it's like a delicate like
Yeah,
tightrope to
for sure.
balance.
Would you personally be in any trouble, so to speak, if like a lawsuit happens because you were involved with the?
I would be if I used like parts of like the original
Hmm.
and they found out, like, because when you're recreating a sample, is like the reason they're hiring you to do that is to recreate it, you know. And like if there's a whiff of me, like, you know, maybe I took trying to recreate like some of the drums, and like I found like open snare in the song, and I took that and like chopped it and like kind of layered it underneath
Hmm.
everything else I was doing. Like that's a big no no,
I hear
you
you.
know. I mean, it's hard yeah, it's hard to detect that, but I can't. You just can't do that. You
No,
know,
for
that's
sure.
just. But then they're coming after me. You know, and like, fuck that. I want the money for like.
Well said.
Those are some major lawsuits, man. Yeah,
Jeez. So I mean, like
yeah.
you mentioned now that Kanye's like had to deal with that before. I would assume that it would be more his legal team dealing with it, like so he could still focus on the artwork. Is that kind of how it works, like the ecosystem?
Yeah, definitely. It's his legal team, and like they have a whole department of like sample clearance people, you know, the labels. But there's been like artists that he's like sampled where they've hired like fucking like lawyers to go after him, and they try to. I'm sure they were like they try to hunt the people down who've like recreated the sample and catch them in a bad situation. I'm sure every time, like, I've talked to lawyers on the phone, I'm sure they were recording everything I was saying, you know, on a couple of those conversations.
Hmm.
And then I just learned just to not say anything, and just like, if I need to go to court, you know, you just tell me where to be, and I'll present the session and what I did to it, and we'll just take it from there.
That's nuts.
Um,
Wow, man, that's
but
crazy.
yeah, because you just don't want to get yourself in trouble either. You
Yeah, for
know,
sure.
like you don't know if you're getting set up for anything. You know, like the music industry's crazy, man.
Oh, for sure,
It's
for
hard
sure.
to trust people.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that like there is that shady side of the business, but I mean, it is a business. I think people forget that
Yeah.
sometimes. You know what I mean? How did you personally get into the business? Like, what's your story?
I started actually. So my production partner was like, I met him through at I was going to school at Berkeley, and I met him. We actually grew up from the same small town in Ohio,
Oh,
and
cool.
took from the same guitar teacher. And then I just kind of stayed in contact with him throughout the years. And then I was like interning him for him, like during summers when I had off for Berkeley. And he was at that time he was actually working with Kanye
That's cool.
as a producer when Kanye was producing like Jay-Z, and like
Mm.
he wasn't an artist yet, and he was working with like Mary J. Blige and all these, like, he's well established. And then the year actually, I think that was my first year at Berkeley, and then I think the second year, he offered to hire me to work for him full time, and I didn't know what to do, and I was like, should I drop out of college or like perform music full time with him work, and I ended up being lucky because the year I dropped out of fucking college was the year I ended up going to the Grammys for working on the college dropout,
That's cool.
which was like
That's pretty cool.
like it was like the universe was kind of like telling me, okay, I think you did the right thing. And like my parents wanted me to stay in college, you know, how your parents want you to do shit. And it's like for music, you really don't have to do that. Music, especially now, it's like everything's on YouTube, man. Like you
Yeah.
can learn everything, like anything. Like I didn't have that shit growing up, and like you have all these like loop libraries. The laptop is the new instrument, especially with technology now. You know, like you you can make things sound so real without having players. It's actually pretty scary.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the way things are,
Yeah,
like already, it's like that. Things are going to be
yeah.
just even way more intense in a few
Oh,
years down the
dude,
road.
it's like the automation that's coming. Like I didn't think it was gonna hit music ever, but
Mhm.
like it's already here. You know, they already have programs where like for mixing and mastering, like they have algorithms. Like
Really?
eventually, like yeah, where it'll read things in like in real time as well and just make adjustments,
That's
EQ
really
basement.
interesting,
Like
actually.
yeah, no, it's scary. It's only gonna get better. Yeah, and like where you don't need to hire like a mastering or a mix engineer. It'll probably be eventually like categories where it'll be, you know, rock, and then like will have like you'll click on that category and like do like subcategories to like really fine tune like a mix or something, man. But like
Interesting.
it's
Yeah.
everything's just getting so dumbed down. like
No, I hear
like you can be a wizard at C major, like on the white keys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess one of the problems with rock music in particular is, the fact that back in the day you had to really practice to be amazing at guitar or at the drums or whatever, but now you can just program all that, which is a good thing, but it
It's a
kills the
good
art of being
thing,
in a band,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it's
another thing
both.
is like auto tunes. Like no one, like the majority of people, like it's a crutch. You know, people don't. Majority of people can't sing. It's like they just lean on that. It's like, oh, we'll fix it. We'll fix it later. Or you got Melodyne. You know, it's like there's not like that art, like artistry. You know,
I hear you. Yeah.
that you don't have to. Which I mean, it is good and bad.
Yeah.
You
Like
know,
I
for
think
good
Auto-Tune
and
is
bad.
actually a really cool tool and I have no
I
issue with
love
people
it.
using it to
Yeah,
an
I think
extent,
it's cool,
but
man.
yeah.
I love like the rock stuff that's kind of coming like that grunge sound, you know? Like I kind of dig it. It's kind of making a comeback,
Yeah,
but
but
like
grunge
with
and
like
Auto-Tune don't mix. So
urban say what?
grunge and autotune don't mix. Those will
Yeah,
not work
yeah.
together. But I mean with autotune, like I think it's cool, and I actually like it when like like when T Pain uses it. It's a cool effect, you know what I mean? But I just feel like it's way overdone now. But I mean that's a separate
Yeah.
topic altogether, I guess.